How you doing? This is Sam Tolley with In Him First. We view the world through the lens of Jesus Christ. We do not view Jesus Christ through the lens of the world. Sometimes I post things that get under people's skin. I don't try to, but that's the nature of the beast. When you say things people don't like, they respond. And I thought it would be a good thing to answer some of my critics, to answer them word for word by what they said instead of going back and forth on pages like Facebook and YouTube, to make a video, say exactly what they stated, and then respond to it word for word. Now this one critic, an old friend of mine, decided to write something about the president. And this is what he stated on his critique. Now, the post that he responded to, I couldn't find. That is, I looked through Facebook where I posted this, whatever it was I posted. And I looked through it time and time again. And I think maybe he deleted the post. If not, and he watches this, he can tell me which one it was so I can respond and, identify it. But as it stands, I just recall reading his comments one day and deciding to copy it, the comments. And I thought that it would be good to just use these comments. So here are the comments, exactly word for word. Donald Trump, the leader of the Republican Party, is a liar. Multi-accused sex offender has paid cash settlements to porn stars, closely associated with pedophiles and sex traffickers, supports white supremacy, contributed to many Americans' death by downplaying COVID-19, a purveyor of moral, ethical, and religious turpitude. This is who my Republican Christian friends champion as their leader. They post their purity daily and demean those who refuse to identify with them. What an egregious insult to the teachings of Christ. Woe to you. Thank God for self-examination. Now these comments were written all capital letters, just like I have here. I would like to say to him and to others who seem to like to write in capital letters, their passion can be read under normal punctuation. You don't have to capitalize every letter. It's been known, or it's been thought of as yelling in print. I can hear perfectly well and I can read well too. So capitalizing every letter to make your emphasis is really unnecessary. I can see your passion. But let's dissect this and respond to it accordingly. So the first part he wrote was Donald Trump, the leader of the Republican Party, is a liar. Multi-accused sex offender has paid cash settlements to porn stars, closely associated with pedophiles and sex traffickers, support white supremacy. Accusations are one thing, the truth is another. I need not remind everyone that the entire Democratic Party apparatus has been going after Donald Trump since before he took office. I mean, think about it. You have the special counselor, Mueller, was after him for like 3 years. You had Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler just gnawing away at anything they can get to. And the only thing they haven't been able to get to, so far as we know, is his tax returns. And I find it fascinating that everybody wants to know what's happening with his tax returns when it's known that he was a billionaire, known that he's been willing and dealing for many years But all these politicians that's been in Washington and became multimillionaires when all they had is a government salary, or the ones that leave Washington and become multimillionaires, like our former presidents, Obama and Clinton, no one seems to be interested in their tax returns. I wonder why. So, not only has Nadler, Schiff, and Mueller, but the FBI and CIA, the NSA, everyone in the deep state has been trying to find some dirt on the president. And if that dirt was there, we'd know about it. We would know about it. I mean, they've been trying hard to find some prostitute urine on some Moscow hotel room. It ain't there. If it was there, we'd know about it. And let's not forget CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, Huffington Post, all these liberal news outlets, all of them. I mean, they're just about foaming at the mouth trying to find something on Trump. You would think that almost after 4 years, they'd have found it if it was there. But they keep making accusations and they don't have anything. So if there was the slightest bit of truth of him being connected with pedophiles, sex offenders, and if there was any soiled or solid evidence associated with him and them and white supremacists, they know about it. Not that lie in the Carolinas when they were saying that he was supporting white supremacists. No, he said that there were folks on both sides of the Confederate statues issue that were good people. Yeah, there were people in the South that want these statues reminding them of the past Civil War heroes or whatnot. And there were folks that don't want it. Myself, frankly, I want all the statues to stay in place. The good, the bad, the ugly. Because I don't want people turning around and saying, oh, we never did that, or we never were part of that. Just like when I grew up, they had most black folks convinced that the Republican Party was a party of Jim Crow and slavery, when it was the opposite, when it was a Democratic Party. The schools didn't teach the truth, the news media didn't report the truth, and as far as we knew, the lies we heard were the truth. You had to dig it out for yourself to find the truth. So I don't want the historical evidence removed. We know who won. We know who were the purveyors of slavery. Leave the statues alone. Let history say what it says. Those folks put it up, and those folks are the ones that did what they had to do. Now we have people trying to tear down everything. We have people trying to tear down statues of Frederick Douglass and statues that slaves made honoring Lincoln. So let's leave the statues alone. And like I said, if he was associated with those white supremacists, we'd have hard, solid evidence. And it really makes no sense to say that he was off of white supremacists when he presented the lowest or created the lowest black unemployment in history. Not as far as a porn star. Oh yeah, he paid her. So what? What did that have to do with him becoming president? What he did prior to obtaining the office of the presidency was not the issue. And she apparently earned her money, whatever that means. So why is everybody getting all upset about that? I mean, this same friend watches CNN and all these folks had Stormy on every show. They were making, the city of West LA had a Stormy open house. No, that's not something that we would like our presidents to do. But apparently whatever the relationship he had with her, he had with her. And to the best of my knowledge, she was never in the Oval Office with cigars. So much about that. And ever since Trump announced that he wants to build a wall, he's been facing opposition against the Democrats, against the rhinos, against liberals, against everyone. But the rhino wasn't just to keep illegals out. It was also to try to stem the flow of illegal drugs in the United States and human traffickers. So if he was so much involved with human trafficking, why would he try to break the back of that nasty, vile enterprise? And also, to the best of my knowledge, there's no records of him riding on the Lolita Express. You know, the Democrats love to hurl accusations. They love to try to step on Republicans, and especially top dog, Donald Trump. But they don't talk about what we know to be truth about their leaders. They leave that alone. And their well-traced track of debauchery is swept under the rug. What did they say when Clinton was in the White House and he was fooling around with Monica? Oh, that's a personal matter. That has nothing to do with the office. Yeah. Contributed to many Americans' death by downplaying COVID-19. I mean, that was almost beyond belief. I mean, this comes from a person who obviously accepted and believed the lie that Obama said about if you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Or that a family of 4 is going to save $2,500 with Obamacare. Or never mention the fact that people might end up paying as much as a $6,000 deductible for Obamacare. No, this friend never says anything about those lies and how that affected society. But he comes up with this nonsense. And I don't know if this is just something he read from some left-wing website or just regurgitating what all the people are saying. But the fact of it is, as soon as the president got wind of this thing, he reacted faster than anyone. He shut down travel to China, which they said he was xenophobic. And the leader of the Democratic Party right now, the presumptive nominee, Joe Biden, railed against it. He was against shutting down China. Then Trump shut down travel from Europe. And all these people said that he was evil. What's wrong with him? Then as the fear of COVID-19 started growing, people wanted things shut down. Frankly, it's a good thing that part of the wall is up, because that could stop a lot of people that are infected from Mexico coming up here. But my friend seems to have forgot that Mr. Biden spoke against the efforts the president took early on. No, they don't think these things through. I think it's just part of the mantra of anything Trump is evil. It wasn't Mr. Trump's fault of that. Over 50% of the deaths were attributed to putting sick COVID people into nursing homes with the elderly that were already vulnerable and they died. No, that wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault that the city of New York didn't have enough ventilators when they were warned years ago that they would be unprotected. But people want to blame Trump for everything. But no. You know, all of those problems rest on the back of the governor of New York, Cuomo, and de Blasio, the mayor of New York City. But we don't hear about that. The mainstream media talks little about that. And my friend obviously doesn't want to think about that. A purveyor of moral, ethical, and religious turpitude. This is who my Republican Christian friends champion as their leader. Well, it's obvious that my friend doesn't like Mr. Trump, and that's okay. But since he wants to bring across what he considers to be my theological shortcomings, I want to address him in a biblical manner. You get into Matthew chapter 12, verse 28 to 31. One of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, asked him, talking about Jesus, which commandment is the most important of all? Jesus answered, the most important is, Hear, O Israel, The Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. So this is Matthew 12:28-31. Now, so Jesus summarized the commandments in two. And when I think about loving God with all my being and loving my neighbor as myself, it drives me right back to Genesis. Because God said in Genesis chapter 26 that he made man in his own image. And he also created the institution of marriage and said to multiply. Be fruitful and multiply in Genesis 28. So he made us in his image, unlike any of the other creatures in the world. And we are supposed to love him with our whole being. And then we're supposed to fill the earth. We're supposed to subdue it. Now I know the tree huggers would hate to hear me talk about that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Because all the resources that he put on the earth are for us to use. Not worrying about saving the planet Earth or Mother Earth, but that's here nor there. But he made us in his image, and he told us to be fruitful and to multiply. Now, think about this. Are we supposed to honor God or somebody else? I mean, for me, politically, there's nothing else to think about. We honor God by what he said in his word and by obeying him. I believe it's in John 14:15. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Now, every single 2020 presidential candidate for the Democratic Party dishonored the God of the Bible. Every last one of them. Every last one of them stood for homosexuality, which is taking the image of God and stating that it could coexist in a marital relationship with a person of the same sex. That's an abomination. The Bible tells you that. Every 2020 candidate for the Democratic Party believes in abortion, killing the unborn. And now these Democrats are so radical that they want to be able to have the right to kill the unborn up until the moment of birth. That baby could be coming down the birth canal. And they kill it, and it's legal. And they're okay with that. How is that honoring God? How is it honoring God to be willing to destroy their creation? How is it honoring God to blaspheme his image? So for me, on a political perspective, if I have a choice between one candidate that will honor God and his creation and one candidate that won't, it's a no-brainer. It's simple. And Donald Trump, all the time that he has been serving as president, has been honoring God. He has been supporting the unborn. He has been fighting to keep them alive. He has tried to defund Planned Parenthood of this over $500 million a year that our taxpayer money is going to. Where the Democrat, every last one of them just about supports that thing. All the folks in Congress and in the Senate, just about every Democratic governor. Think about it. These people openly blaspheme and stand against the God of the Bible. And we're supposed to celebrate them. We're supposed to vote for them. And my friend accuses me of supporting somebody of moral turpitude. Somebody, and then he questions my Christianity, my position. What did he say? A purveyor of moral, ethical, and religious turpitude. This is whom my Republican Christian friends champion. Throughout the Bible, God has used various people. And wait a minute, let me say that. Who was to say that Donald Trump hasn't turned his life over to Christ? We're always talking about, well, you don't know where that person's faith is. I mean, I know that he used to be pro-choice. I know that he used to be flamboyant. I mean, I've already acknowledged him and Stormy, who knows, whatever. The guy had money and was doing his thing. But when he decided to become president, he hasn't been governing as a playboy. He hasn't been governing as a liberal. He has been governing as a moral, conscientious person that honors God. So, the evidence speaks by what he's been doing, not by what he has been. And besides that, if he hasn't, God of the Bible has used various people at one time or another to do his will. He used Nebuchadnezzar once he made him eat grass to do his will. He used Darius. He used Cyrus. He turns the king in the direction he wants him to go. And it's my full belief that right now he's using Donald J. Trump. And thus far, everything that he's been doing has been lining up. Well, not everything, but what I'm saying is, by and large, he has governed from a more biblical perspective than a secular one. And my friend is championing people who flat out says, well, they don't say they don't support the God of the Bible. They claim they love God while they're supporting Satan. They claim they love God while they're supporting ripping babies out of the womb up until the moment of birth. They claim they support God while they believe that two men can be married, or two women, or a person can change their sex, all of which is anathema. And he's telling me about me and my theological basis. I think if we had to stand before the Lord just on that criteria alone, I think I stand in a little bit better position than him. We did not hire Donald Trump for his theological position. We did not hire Donald Trump because we thought he was going to be a bishop, a priest, a preacher, or any of that stuff. We hired him because we thought he'd get the job done. And thus far, he's getting the job done. And he's getting the job done in a more Christian, conservative manner than anybody I've seen since Reagan. So, I think my friend might need to reconsider his position on that. But I think he's also so blinded by his indoctrination, because they, when you confront these people and you say, well, look, this is what Trump is doing. This is what your guy is doing. Oh, well, Trump's a racist. He's a hater. Well, you know what? If Trump's a racist and a hater, keep up the good job. Because before the COVID came in, black unemployment was the lowest in history. The stock market was through the roof. Hispanic unemployment was the lowest in history. Women unemployment was the lowest in history. The economy was booming, and all these folks that are suffering from his racism had never done better. So if he's a racist, he should keep up the good work. I like it. So, I just don't know what to say. And then on top of that, what blows my mind is this very same friend, like many other people I know, I can never recall him saying anything evil or bad about Mr. Trump prior to his run for the presidency. During the 11-year run of his show, The Apprentice, I never heard him once complain about it. While he was jetting around the world and that train that plane that said Trump, the Trump helicopters, and you see the hotels and the golf courses and all this stuff, I never heard him say anything negative about Trump. Which begs the question, not just concerning him, but the media and all these other Democratic leaders. If Trump is so evil, why didn't you tell us a long time ago? I mean, either you guys were lying to us then, or you're lying to us now. Which is it? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I think it's just the fact that Mr. Trump decided that he was going to govern. And when he decided he was going to govern, he decided that he was going to govern for the American people and do the best job he could. Because he realized that's more important than satisfying the powers that be, the old school in Washington, the lobbyists, and all these other jokers that's been around for 40, 50 years and never accomplished anything, like Mr. Biden. Okay, let's get down to the end of this critique. They post their purity daily and demean those who refuse to identify with them. What an egregious insult to the teaching of Christ. Woe unto you. Thank God for self-examination. Wow. Ouch. Ouch. Yeah, thank God for self-examination. Thank you. Because I don't think of myself being better than anyone. I never have. I never have thought that I'm better than anyone. You know, I had a friend that I grew up with, another friend. This is one friend that I grew up with I'm talking about, but there was another friend I grew up with that became a Jehovah's Witness. And when we grew up and he was believing the Watchtower stuff, I wasn't really into my Christianity like I should have been. But as I grew older and I learned and I studied the Bible and I tried to get close to Christ, I realized that the Watchtower and Tract Society was a cult. I realized that it was wrong. I realized that it was evil and they were sending people to hell. So, part of being a Christian, part of being a Bible-believing Christian, part of being someone that believes in the Great Commission of Matthew 28 of go into all the world and teach them everything that Jesus taught us. I had a choice because I saw my friend many years later and we were so glad to see each other. We went to lunch, we had a good time, we didn't talk about anything but just old times, and then we talked about seeing each other more often. I had a choice. I could go along that easy path and just celebrate us having that time together and keep my mouth shut, or I could mention the gospel and what I believe to be the error that he's embraced and risk us not being able to spend time together by him cutting me off. Well, to me, if you're my friend and you see I'm in trouble, you're supposed to speak up. That's love. When you don't speak up, you either don't care about that person or so selfish that you are just letting that person die or whatever. So I decided to speak up. And eventually we got to a point where we weren't going to see each other like we were. And I realized that would happen because he couldn't stand up or deal with the conflict between what the Watchtower was teaching and what the Bible was saying as presented to him. That's okay. He's still my friend. I told him, hey, if you ever need me, I'm there. He had a death in his family, a couple of them. I was there. Whether I had to go to a funeral at the Watchtower or the Kingdom, it didn't matter. I told him, if you need me, I will be there. Just like the friend that I am talking about right now in this critique, he needs me, I will be there. Yeah, because we do not agree theologically. I still love him, but I'm going to tell him the truth, just like I'll tell you the truth. And by the way, I want you or him or anyone else to tell me the truth. If I'm in error in any way, I want to know it. That way I can correct myself. I can't correct myself if I don't know it. And if someone else is in error and I know it and they don't know it, I need to help them. That is not being arrogant. That is not being a hater. That is not being mean. That is being an honest servant of Christ. And yes, I post scriptures daily. I decided many years ago that if I get on social media, I'm going to post scripture daily. And I also realized something else, that either your theology is going to govern your politics or your politics is going to govern your theology. I endeavor to make my theology govern my politics. As much as possible, I will try to have a biblical worldview, a biblical lifestyle, and let my politics flow from there. I'm not going to circumvent my theology for politics. I'm not going to gravitate to someone because I think they appeal to me better if they are in conflict with the Bible. I mean, it's simple. This is not brain science. This is just some easy stuff. It's either obey or not to obey. So, but that doesn't make me think that I'm better than anyone. That doesn't make me think that anything other than to spread the gospel and the truth. The truth isn't subjective. The truth isn't my truth or your truth. The truth is whatever God says the truth is, and whatever the truth is outlined in the world. Truth is self-evident that it's true. So I think we just need to stick with the truth. I think we need to stick with the Word of God. I think we need to just conform our life to what the Bible says if we call ourselves Christians. And therefore, I'm going to stand with the unborn. I'm going to stand with God's description of marriage. I'm going to stand with His description of male and female. Not all this gender stuff, not all this weird stuff. And I would hope that my friend could stand with me. I'm not. You notice that even though we were talking politics, or I was talking politics, I didn't even get into financial things. I didn't even get into those that realm of money. Because I'll tell you this, in all honesty, if there was a candidate whose position financially I thought would benefit me greatly, but they stood against the unborn, they stood against marriage, and there's another candidate who stood for marriage and the unborn, and his financial mindset would be destructive to me, I would vote for that one. I would vote for that person even though I felt that his financial status would be detrimental to me, because by honoring God, by honoring the Bible, by honoring God's principles as far as the unborn, I believe God would bless me in spite of his ignorance financially. Fortunately, I didn't have to make that kind of choice, but I would, because I want to trust in God, not in man. So I hope that it helps someone that may be thinking about what we're talking about. Believe me, it's all to Jesus or nothing at all. This is Sam Tolley, and I'm out.